Yes, guys, welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows. It's Friday, which is a deadline day for Game Week 25. So we are going early with our deadline stream. This is our deadline stream. It's a couple of hours to the deadline, sure, but we're going early before that mad rush. We're reacting to press conference news. We're revealing our teams. Do not go anywhere and answer some questions of yours as well. As always, I'm joined by regular co-host, first up, Mr. Dean Jones, all the way from San Diego. Dean, how are you, mate?
Hello, mate. I'm very good. Yeah, this feels like a really big game week. Just feels like it's got that. It almost feels like a pre-season buzz to it. Everyone's waiting on like Watkins news and wondering about the chips to use, and everyone's panicking a little bit. I like it.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of panic. There's a lot of panic. We'll talk about this in a minute about Gakpo. He's one of the most highly bought players in the last fortnight. He's gone from like 8% ownership to over 20% ownership.
Yeah.
And well, Slaughter said he's a bit of a doubt. And then Sky Sports News are there. Big man, I don't know if you've seen this, and welcome to the show, big man. But Gakpo isn't pictured in training for Sky Sports News today. He could have been given a day off. They do play Sunday. So firstly, how are you? And secondly, what are your thoughts on Gakpo?
Hi, Johnny. Hello, Dean. Hello, and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. I don't think a lot of people have the luxury of multiple free transfers to just swap Gakpo in and out at this point. So if you're a Gakpo owner, I just think you hope and pray for the best. And because it's a double game week,
Yeah.
I mean, even if he misses the Wolves game, you'd expect him to play the second game at least. So I think, especially for people who don't have the luxury of too many free transfers, I would probably just keep him. But it's an interesting one because a lot of people who have, let's say, David Moyes, assistant manager, and let's say they have two free transfers, they can potentially get another forward, and that might enable slot for them. So it's a very interesting scenario and something which we didn't exactly see coming before the deadline.
Yeah. Dean, Gakpo's been a key man for Slot. He started the last maybe 12 Premier League games, I want to say, on the bounce. But in the Merseyside derby, we did see, I mean, not many saw this. It wasn't, English comms didn't report on it. And post-match Slot didn't speak because of the red card. But as a Gakpo owner, I noticed straight away. I saw a heavy challenge on the edge of the box, didn't look comfortable. And within about 2 minutes of that challenge, he was subbed off. Now, he does usually get subbed early, but on a game when Diaz wasn't playing well, you fully are expecting Diaz to get hooked, not Gakpo. Gakpo was hooked because he was injured. He limped off. Slaughter said he's a bit of a doubt. He wasn't pictured in training or didn't take part in team training today, but that's not uncommon for someone that's got a knock. He could very much still be fine for Sunday, right? Like, we're talking about a player who's pretty robust, who's got a game in 48 hours' time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my biggest fear of it really would be, does he need to start against Wolves at home if he's got a knock like that? And my hunch would be no.
Don't risk him.
It's it's an unnecessary thing to do. Liverpool are in such control of the Premier League title race right now, and one thing you don't want to do is be risking player injuries. And the one thing you've got over your main title rival Arsenal is that they've got no goal scorers to choose from. And you don't want to be risking that becoming a problem for you. Obviously, he's in their strongest 11, but I'm concerned because obviously I've got Gakpo in my team. I haven't actually made my transfer for this week yet, so I can still get him out. But what am I doing? Bringing in my only options really are to then go Watkins, who we don't know the status of yet, or Darwin Núñez. Like, they're my only two options for this double game week now if I'm going to replace Cody Gakpo, and for different reasons don't trust either of those guys. So a bit of a dilemma really to consider.
Well, we are going to be reacting to Unai Emery's press conference in a minute. He is scheduled to talk at 2. I guess he's talking right now. We're waiting for those quotes to surface. He will update us on Ollie Watkins, who is the other big talking point of the game week. But look, we'll get to that in a second. As part of our intro, let me just ask you, big man, how are you feeling about the game week in general? Are you very much waiting on team news, or are you fairly settled? We'll see your team in a bit.
I think there are a lot of moving parts actually in this game week, and my transfers are still up in the air. I have no idea what moves I'm making. We've already sort of heard on Gakpo. I was waiting on Glasner on Eze, and he said that Eze is trained, so I'm hoping that Eze is fine. And now the next big one is Watkins. And I also have Konza. I'm not exactly anticipating anything positive on Konza, but hopefully on Watkins. I think that would be very, very important in the context of the game week. But then again, I really need to hear something very positive on Watkins, because Villa, with the schedule they have coming up, they have like back-to-back games in 14 to 15 days. They have like 5 fixtures. Watkins, his minutes are a bit of a concern, even though he is now the only striker with Durant gone. I am willing to go there if he's fit, but I really hope that we hear something very positive from Unai Emery.
It was reported today from one of the journos that maybe covers Villa. They wrote to the Premier League asking for their fixture against Liverpool to be rescheduled. I think it was a Liverpool fixture. And it's been denied. And as Big Man says, it's now part of a 4 games in 10 days, 5 in 14 or whatever it is. Imagine if they were successful with that. And then we've all lined up Villa and Liverpool players for the double. And today it was announced, the double game week is no longer. There would have been huge drama. Love that. Dean, you must have seen that in years gone by. Like, clubs will make those sorts of requests, but I guess they're rarely successful. Once the Premier League have put a fixture in, it's usually locked, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that would be extraordinary, really, especially in the modern game. You know, back in the days before social media uproar, it probably wouldn't have been that bad because there's not really much anybody can say. You just like kind of read it in the newspaper. But these days, yeah, it's going to take a lot, and I'd say it seems unlikely to me.
Yeah, well, the Villa presser is going on. We are going to round up all the injury news from the day so far. Do not go anywhere. And whilst you see this sting, hit the like and subscribe button. Love that. It's been a while. Did it bring you back, Dean? Fun memories.
It does bring me back, mate. I'm transported back to England mainly because I don't think I've heard that since I moved to America. But yeah, obviously, like I always enjoyed this kind of structure that we had because it laid out exactly where we were. Sorry, excuse me. And I feel like this week we really need it. I feel like we need this structure and this understanding of where we are at right now. So whether it's Aston Villa, whether it's Chelsea, Bournemouth, Tottenham, whatever, where are we sitting right now? Obviously, you guys have probably a bit more idea of the team news. I've only got up about 45 minutes ago because it's 6 a.m. here. But Aston Villa, while we're waiting for that, let's see what else is going on. Somebody did just ask me a second ago, or ask us in the comments about Bournemouth and whether Kluivert is starting. Yeah, no reason to believe anything otherwise on Kluivert. Kluivert will be starting this game. There was an update from Iraola talking about a couple of players. Now, the annoying thing is on the update that I've just got on the Premier League app, it doesn't actually say the 2 players are, but he says, I think both players are expected to train in the final session.
Sinisterra and Scott have a chance. No availability update from Iraola on Kluivert is the scout headline. But I mean, this has been completely blown up by Andy Martin on X. FPL Tactician, who's a brilliant banter account, has been putting fear amongst FPL managers. Let this be said. Premier League footballers, at the age they're at, a lot of them have kids. And a lot of them have kids whilst they're playing. Now, or their partners give birth, often around match days. It's never an issue. Rarely do we see players miss games. And when they do, sure, it happens. But most of the time, Premier League players and their partners have children. And it's not a talking point. Yes, the due date's happening. Yes, Labour could be happening around the time of the game. And yes, there's a slim chance Kluivert misses it, but we really don't need to worry yet, guys.
FPL James says he became a dad yesterday.
No, I think she went into. I think she was reported to going to Labour. Big Man, what do you know on this?
Baby,
what I've seen is a post of Kluivert and someone actually commented that I'm thinking of bringing in him. I'm thinking of bringing you in my team. Will you be available for the Southampton game? And he actually replied. That yes, I'll be there. So coming from the horse's mouth, coming from the horse's mouth, he'll be fine. Again, it's just been blown out of proportion for no reason at all.
It's mad.
Yeah.
He literally gave it the thumbs up. Like, yeah, I'll play. Thumbs up. Like, yeah. So we got to assume it'll be fine. But there has been some big team news today. Gakpo was the big one, a bit of a doubt. But remember, they play Sunday and they have a double. We know Havertz is out for the season. Akanji is out for 8 to 10 weeks. Now, he played right back in the week in the Champions League. Rico Lewis then came on for him. There's no Kyle Walker there. Rico Lewis, who's on my team, and I'm desperate to sell him, might just start getting some starts again. Who knows there? Eze, Sarr, and Nketiah pass fit for Palace. Ndai, knee injury is set to be out for weeks, and Decore is banned for Everton. I mean, big man, you're an Ndai owner. I guess, I mean, he was in tears as he came off the pitch in the Merseyside derby, so you must have known straight away he's going to be out for a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, just before I speak about India, the latest update is that Ollie Watkins' tire mings are available to face Ipswich. Watkins' diagnosis was 10 days after Wolves' injury, but he recovered in the time frame. Konza, Cash, Onana, and Pau Torres are still out. That's the latest.
Ooh, breaking news there, guys. Breaking news on Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And obviously now with this Cody Gakpo dilemma, that is more encouraging on Watkins than we probably were expecting. The problem, I guess, now is, do we trust Ollie Watkins to come in and score against Liverpool, particularly? But will he be starting against Ipswich? Like, just because he's ready? Like, because Ipswich is the one where he gets the points, and then Liverpool's kind of the bonus, isn't it? So, do we trust him for that? And do we trust him more than Gakpo for people like me that have got a transfer to use? I got to admit, I didn't see me going to Ollie Watkins this week. I really wasn't in that frame of mind. I spoke to someone about Aston Villa yesterday because I was trying to get a grip on, what they're doing with their new signings as well as Ollie Watkins. I was told that Asensio has the best chance out of him and Rashford of getting good minutes and the possibility of a start. But the news on Rashford was really 50-50. And only really if Watkins was ruled out should we expect to see any starts for Marcus Rashford. So the likelihood, it seemed to me, was that no Watkins means definite Daniel Marlon and possibly Rashford off of him. But now I think Watkins is going to be a prime get for people, which is definitely interesting in terms of I don't know, man. Like, Ollie Watkins hasn't been that convincing to me. Like, if this
he gets the chances, it's his finishing's been a bit off, but the chances have been there.
Yeah,
the underlying numbers are very positive.
And this is the thing, right? Like, we all play this game differently. You might do it statistically. A lot of people don't even watch the games anymore. They just watch the data and they watch the points, and that's how they play FPL. But obviously, as a football journalist, I'm somebody that watches every game pretty much, and I make my FPL decisions at the back of what I'm seeing. And I haven't really liked that much of what I'm seeing from Ollie Watkins, but he is playing Ipswich, so
that's the one.
That's the caveat here, right? And I know, big man, what would your hunch be as the guru of whether I go from Cody Gakpo to Ollie Watkins in a moment like this?
It's really tricky to say, Dean, because if he starts against Wolves, then Gakpo is a fantastic option. Personally, I think I'm probably going to do Isak to Watkins now if the quotes are optimistic, which I believe they must be, because I'm reading Twitter and everyone's saying he's trained, etc. But for someone with Gakpo, I think I'd probably keep Gakpo, to be honest, because there is a chance that he starts both games. And in which case you'd want to keep him. I don't think there is enough evidence right now to prove that Gakpo won't play both. So I think I would probably keep him, and I would probably sell Isak to Watkins reluctantly. That's what I would do in your position. But I understand it's a tough sell.
It's a really tough sell. Really tough one.
It is indeed.
Especially as Aston Villa have so many people to get on the pitch right now, because they have got Asensio, Rashford, and Marlon, who they want to start giving minutes to. They have Jacob Ramsey. They have Morgan Rogers. They got Leon Bailey. Like, Ollie Watkins' minutes are going to be limited here, even if he's starting, right?
Oh, I don't know. Holly Shand is in the chat. She's just come off her stream. Holly is the go-to for press conference news in FPL. If you're not already subbing to Holly, check her out. She streams before us on a Friday. And she's saying, with Watkins fit, I think she'll be expecting him to start versus Ipswich. Holly's got a bit of a dilemma, and hello to everyone. She's looking to maybe sell Gakpo to be able to get to Watkins, and that is the route for many. If you own Chris Wood, You're not selling him to get to Watkins. Chris Wood's been too good. If you own Isak, I don't think you should be selling Isak. If you have a dead spot in your team like a João Pedro, I do, great. I've had no points from João Pedro, but at least I have a route to Watkins. Now the Gakpo owners have a dilemma too. Because is Gakpo going to start both games? Probably not. Does he feature in both? Maybe. Maybe he does. Guys, there are loads of you joining for the first time today from Holly's stream. Thank you so much for hitting those buttons. This might be your first time watching Chasing Green Arrows. If you're new around here, let me just introduce ourselves. We stream 3 times a week. I kind of host the channel, but I have 2 brilliant co-hosts, and you need their insight. Mr. Dean Jones is a journo and FPL enthusiast, but it's his journalism that really helps us out with things like team news and predicted lineups and transfer stories, and just Dean's knowledge of European football. And Big Man Backer finished 4th in the world in FPL. He's one of the best FPL managers in the world, and we want to tap into his insight. We're all doing different things this week. I'm on assistant manager Emery. Big Man's on assistant manager slot. Dean's not on assistant manager at all. We're going to be discussing our teams in the next half an hour. Do not go anywhere. And if you can, as Offcourt in the chat says, one of our chasers, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We would absolutely love that. Andrew says Gakpo isn't starting. I'm a Liverpool fan. He limped off the field. He was never playing. Interesting. There's loads of strong opinions on this. No one really knows. It's worth noting Liverpool play on Sunday. They're not playing tomorrow. There will be another training session tomorrow, and maybe it's just a precaution that he's missing out. Let's see. He's been a vital cog in the slot machine.
The more I'm thinking about it, the less chance I think, obviously, that Gakpo plays that game. And I just don't think I want him anymore.
Well, the Villa game's tough, right? You want him for the home fixture against Wolves, not the away fixture versus Villa.
Yeah. I'm not even convinced Liverpool win that Aston Villa game, if I'm totally honest. Maybe that's me hoping because I am not playing the assistant managership and I know loads of people are on slot. That might be part of the reason. But, Liverpool, the margins have been pretty small recently in terms of getting over the line. I know the Bournemouth away win looks convincing on paper, but it was a tough game that was. And I think that Villa's going to be every bit as difficult for Liverpool. So that's tough. I definitely am contemplating coming away from Cody Gakpo here. He's not as convincing a bet,
Temptation of Watkins versus Ipswich as well is huge. And if you've got the funds and can do that, obviously you've got to find $1.5 million. But if you're selling Gakpo, for those on assistant manager chip, and hello to Rubber Ducky, Big Man, you were looking at maybe this move that Rubber Ducky says, Isak out, Watkins in. But just before we answer that, how do you feel about those selling Gakpo that are on Emery assistant manager, moving Mate or on Moyes, but instead of moving to Emery, maybe moving to slot? Because that's what Holly Shan's thinking of doing. She's going, if I sell Gakpo, I'm going to have a free Liverpool slot. If I've got a free Liverpool slot, let's bring in Arna slot.
Yeah, I mean, as mentioned earlier, I think it's a transfer I would probably do if I had 2 free transfers in hand. I don't think I'd probably do it for a hit. But then again, I also want to touch a bit on, some of the cheaper forwards as well. You mentioned João Pedro. Now, you mentioned that João Pedro was an easy route to Watkins. I personally don't feel it's an easy route because there's a 3 to 4 million price difference. And
I've got Bruno, so yeah, I should have caveated that. Bruno is my cash cow for Watkins.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't have the luxury of having that cash cow. So in my opinion, I think ideally what you'd want to do with someone like João Pedro is to bench him because we're not exactly sure whether he's going to start this week. It's anyone's guess. He might not. But if he starts well this week and does well, even if he's on your bench, then he's probably going to start the next week against Southampton. So I think he's probably worth keeping on your bench this week instead of outrightly selling him. So if you have someone like an NDI with him, I would rather prioritize selling NDI because he's just going to be useless for a while now. And apparently his injury is going to take, a few weeks at least. So in that case, if you have, let's say, NDI or Pedro or any other cheap forward that you want to sell, who do you buy, right? Watkins is a different conversation because, as mentioned, not a lot of people have that luxury. Do you go to someone like Wissa? Do you go to someone like, let's say, Welbeck or Cunha? I think I am in a similar boat where, I'm facing a very similar dilemma. And I'm not exactly sure as to what I do because Wissa, Cunha, I like Cunha, but Cunha's
I like Cunha the most. It's just not a good entry point. Cunha next week.
It's just not a good entry point, yeah. So it just doesn't seem that ideal to me. And that's a bit off-footing at the moment.
We've got a poll about Watkins. I'm really keen to see how many are bringing him in, but I think a lot are going to get... What happens with double game week players that are from teams... Obviously, if it's Liverpool in a double game week, we all go, yeah, we're going to have triple. With players and teams like Everton and Aston Villa, when they have a double game week, we often start the week quite cool. We go, oh, I might have an Everton player. I might have a Villa player. And as the days go on, when the deadline hits, we're all going double Liverpool or triple Everton. It's what happens because we see the double game week. We see 2 bites at the cherry. And we just chase upside. That's what FPL managers do. So those that weren't going Watkins on Monday are now going Watkins on Friday, and that's totally fine. Just like they went Pickford, Mikalenko, and Dia, Beto, all at the end of the game week as Everton had the double. The problem with it, with Watkins and Aston Villa players is, yes, they have a double now, but unlike Everton, they do not play in game week 29. A blank game week, which we also have to navigate, many without a free hit. So you just have to know, if you're bringing in Watkins, you're probably selling him in the next couple of weeks. That's fine if he's going to bang versus Ipswich, but you need him to. What do you reckon, Dean?
I'm not convinced, mate. I'm not convinced, but I don't really know what I do. And suddenly I don't like Gakpo or Watkins. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
there's Visser and Cunha, as Big Man says, for single fixtures. But
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be brave enough to do what Big Man's doing, to be honest, to come away from Isak in a moment like this. So I don't think I'd be brave enough to make that call, to come away from the best striker in the league to make a call like this. So I do think, Big Man, you're making a pretty bold decision there. I know that you're going for the potential of the double game time, the more minutes and the more opportunities. So I understand like the statistical approach to it, but yeah, my gut just tells me that I'm too scared to do what you're doing. So I'm not there. By the way, people still asking about Kluivert in the chat. Kluivert is expected to start. I've messaged someone who works for Bournemouth Media. I said, what do you think the top 4 is tomorrow? And he said, Semenyo, Kluivert, Brooks and Dango. And I said, is there any reason to suggest that Kluivert won't play? And he said, no. Yeah. So like, I'm getting short answers, but I don't know what else to say. Like, unless, obviously things can change. But as it stands now, Kluivert's starting for Bournemouth. So yeah, Watkins. I mean, we could sit here for the next 35 minutes debating Ollie Watkins, but we won't. But obviously, we'll come back to it towards the end of the show, I think, when we get to the questions section and see if there's any more clarity in our minds over what we should do here.
65% are saying Watkins isn't for them. It depends how you read that. I read that as 35% mostly that didn't own him and now going to own him this week. So a ton are still moving there. Thank you guys for voting in the poll as always. And over 400 of you watching. We know from the 405 watching, around 150 of you aren't subscribed. If you want to hit that button, we would really, really appreciate it. Our aim is to get to 10K. And with your help, we know we can do that before the end of the season, guys. So hit the button and that would be awesome. So look, let's get cracking with our teams, because we've got to get through our teams and we've also got to have plenty of time for your questions. And we are bringing back today my favorite feature of CGA, Against the Obvious, where we pick a player and we sell you the reasons why not to pick a really popular asset. Dean might even be doing Ollie Watkins. So stay tuned for that. That's all in the next 30 minutes. But next up, it's our teams. 50% Dean said they didn't like our stings. 50% said they did. Maybe that one has changed their opinion and we get to 60-40. By the end of the show, we'll do another poll on our stings. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, we can't hear you, Dean.
Sorry, I cleared my throat earlier, so I didn't. I thought I stuck it on mute, so you didn't have to hear that. What's wrong with the stings, man? I mean, this is so professional. Like, we're trying to have a structured approach here. This is a made-for-TV FPL show today.
I've got makeup on today as well. I've just come from the studio. I've not had time to clean it, so we've gone all out. Like, just, show some.
Wait, I've got makeup on under my eyes because I got up and I was like, oh my god! I nicked my wife's concealer pen and stuck some of that straight underneath there.
Big man, I hope you've got makeup on too. Don't be the odd one out now.
Big man, it's just part of his daily routine. Yeah, exactly.
He's gone.
He didn't like that. hopefully he didn't just log off and we never see him again. That would be sad. But anyway, let's get to my team. We are here to talk FPL today. And it's a big day. Okay, so I haven't made any transfers yet. I've got one free. And I was pretty happy, to be honest with you, looking at my team as to where I sat with it. The only thing I felt what I was missing last night was where's my other Villa asset coming from? And this is something that nobody else in the game is considering, mate.
Asensio, Marlon.
If Watkins was out,
He'd play number 9.
I was going Daniel Marlon.
Yeah.
Right.
But now Watkins is fit. Does Marlon get in the 11 out wide, or does he start Asensio?
I think he still gets in the team. I think he's still got the best chance of getting in the team. He's in better condition than Rashford, better condition than Asensio. He's the most obvious player to replace Watkins up top, right? Whether as a starter or even as a replacement when Watkins does go off. I'm also looking at the fact that Villa have got home games coming up, one after the other. And I think that makes him a good pick going forward. I think Daniel Marlon, he has as much threat, I think, as Morgan Rogers. He's 0.1 less, actually, than Morgan Rogers as a pick.
He's a forward, is he, Marlon?
No, he was a midfielder. So I'd have to be bringing him in here for Ahmad Diallo. So that's what my pick was going to be. I was going to be taking out Ahmad to bring in.
But you could reach Rogers. You can afford Rogers or not?
I can afford Rogers, yeah. And this is the thing, right?
I mean, Rogers is so... I don't...
Yeah, and I think this is the thing. So I don't have Rogers, and I've got to be careful not to be too smart for my own good, because I spoke to a mate of mine yesterday who's an Aston Villa fan, and I said, what do you think happens here, mate? Asensio, Rashford, Marlon... And at the end of the day, we had this chat, and he said, to be honest, we can sign anyone we want, but Morgan Rogers will still be the best player on the pitch. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Second striker. He's not even a midfielder, is he? Pretty much plays as a second striker.
He's a second striker, mate. And so all these doubts around Watkins and the other new signings and stuff, but Morgan Rogers plays, and Morgan Rogers is dangerous. And so I think... whether I'm talking about, do I take out Gakpo and who do I bring in and stuff? Maybe my play is to bring in Morgan Rogers. And then my dilemma is, what do I do with Cody Gakpo from the starting lineup?
Yeah,
that will be more of my dilemma, I think. Let me know in the chat what you would do in that. Would you take Gakpo out of the 11? Would you be starting Morgan Rogers? Is there Mberma or somebody like that you think you would ditch if you were me? Very interested to know what you think. But yeah, I think that's basically where my dilemma has been, mate, around Aston Villa, who to bring in and out. I have to be honest. Cole Palmer obviously is sitting on my bench at the moment, and that's obviously not a good use of him. He's either there or he's not. So Cole Palmer obviously is going to be coming into my thinking too. And again, Chelsea deserved some time really in the team news segment of this, but we didn't give it, so I'll give it now. Nicholas Jackson is out now for Chelsea, and that changes how we look at this team structure. From a couple of people that I spoke to, get the feeling he tries Cole Palmer now as the false 9 and goes with Christopher Nkunku as a kind of 10 and goes Madueke one side and Pedro Neto on the other side.
Me and Liv were just talking about this earlier today. She was also suggesting that could be something that she thinks, and obviously she's around the Chelsea players all the time because she understands, and Nkunku's not a 9 as does Maresca.
He's not, and this is the thing. From speaking to the journalist I spoke to, they said he's basically admitted Nkunku can't play the 9 anymore, and he's going to be more effective as the support forward, where he can create and score more, right? And Palmer, while being a false 9 is not his strongest position, it's a better fit for him potentially. They could almost swap over, you'll get Palmer dropping in, and then Nkunku can make the runs in behind. That makes more sense. And also, Palmer has a bit more presence about him, like just in the sense that he's tall and gangly, if you like that's still a bit more awkward to mark. He's actually pretty good with his head too. I think it's worth us all remembering how important this spell of games is as well for Christopher Nkunku. This will define whether he has a career at Chelsea any longer.
Yeah, is he here in the summer or not? If he can't get in the 11 when Jackson's out, whether he's the 9 or the 10, it's a big problem.
I think this, really does decide whether he stays or not at the club. And I think he would like to stay if he can. So let's see whether he can help replace Nicholas Jackson's goals that will be missing over the next period. But again, when I'm looking at my dilemma that I've got, if Cole Palmer is starting as a 9, then it makes me more tempted to pick him. I don't particularly like or trust Chelsea at the moment, but I do like Cole Palmer, and I can't just leave him on the bench.
11, mate. I know he will be.
I can't leave him on the bench.
I'd play him ahead of any 4 of those defenders. Like, he scored 4 in the reverse fixture. We know he's amazing on his day. Yes, Chelsea aren't functioning, but with a player of his ceiling, you have to
say that with those defenders, though, mate. I mean, it's quite a hard decision to know which of those 4 defenders to actually leave out.
It is, but they don't have a ceiling, so it's like, yeah, Kirkes and Dean and Kanate and double. Yeah, sure, they might get you 6 to 8 points, but Palmer can get 20 in any given game. He has.
Palmer ain't getting 20 points against Brighton away.
Well, he did against Brighton earlier in the season. I know that.
But it was a different version of Chelsea. I
think Chelsea will have problems tonight as well. Brighton,
they've regressed
at the back of the FA Cup, but still, you just can't. He's too dangerous. But all right, I like it, Dean. I like it. I want to see what you do with Gakpo. Check out Dean's Instagram for his latest team or his Twitter.
It will be a late decision. Yeah, how long have I got? When's the deadline?
The deadline's 6:30 UK, so that's exactly 4 hours away. Or was it 3 hours? 3, 4, 5, 6.
The kids are off school today. This is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, 4 hours, mate. 4 hours. Well, we'll follow Chasing Green Arrows on Twitter and Instagram, and Dean will tag CGA in his post and we'll reshare it. So CGA will reshare it. So as long as you're following Dean and or CGA, you'll get it. Let's move on. Big man, welcome back. I think we got your team to show, or my team will be one of them.
Big man, I thought I'd annoyed you then by talking about makeup, and you just logged off, by the way. Sorry if I offended you, mate.
No, there was just some internet connectivity issues. Do not bench Palmer, by the way.
He won't.
Don't do it.
It looked funny, though, on the graphic.
Yeah. So this is my team. Yes, it is mine. Yeah, I mean, I have 2 free transfers. I have plenty of issues in my squad to address, actually. India has been ruled out for a while. Konza, I don't think will be fit anytime soon either.
Sorry. Double game week 32 announced. Say what, CH? CH has just said double game week 32 announced. 32? Hang on. Sorry to interrupt you, big man, but obviously that is
significant news if true.
Give me a source and a link, CH, please.
That is significant news if true.
There's nothing on official FPL. Who's announced what? Of Newcastle.
Okay.
Double.
Yeah, Newcastle Palace. Yeah, Newcastle have announced a fixture against Crystal Palace on the 16th of April, which is game week 32.
That might affect your Isak decision, although you'll probably wildcard in before that, but still.
Dude, this is the last thing I need before the deadline. I was 2 hours to think about it. And there's something else has come up. I mean, as soon as I was close to making a decision. Might affect my Ezra decision as well. We
expected that to drop in 33, didn't we, big man? Am I right in thinking you and I said double in 33 for Isak, probably? I.e. triple captain Isak was an option 33 where they played, was it Villa and Palace? Now it's going to be Palace and who?
Well, it's going to be Palace. Newcastle is going to be one of the fixtures. The other fixture for Palace is going to be City away, which isn't great. And Newcastle...
Not great for triple captainers, is it? You got City and Palace.
City and Palace for that's for Palace though. For Newcastle, it's United at home. It's United at home. United at home is a good fixture.
United at home. That is great for Isak triple captain. You get Man United at home.
Palace at home. Both are nice. Yeah, both fixtures are at home. So
maybe Lewis Hall staying in my team for a bit as well.
Yeah, but then what's important now is to sort of figure out when to wildcard. If you're wildcarding after 32. Then you don't necessarily need to sell Isak, or you don't necessarily need to sell Eze.
Yeah. Oh, the Eze and even the people selling Sa, right?
And I wonder how this impacts our strategy for game week 29 as well. because Game Week 29 is going to be a blank for Newcastle and Crystal Palace. If they're doubling in 32, does that increase the appeal of the free hit?
Yeah, because then you hold all those players from both Palace and Newcastle. But it depends if you're wildcarding in 31, 32, doesn't it? It comes down to your wildcard window.
Well, yeah. I guess 33 is going to be the biggest blank game week, in which case you'll need to set up for the bench boost as well in 33. I still think wildcarding in 31. I think wildcarding in 31 is probably going to be the play here, because people are just going to load up on Newcastle and Palace, and they're going to set up for the free hit in 34, and before 29 they're probably going to get rid of their players. I think that's probably going to be it.
Big news, that.
It is.
I love watching you two in real time.
It is significant. Yeah. I'm trying to process that information in my head quickly.
I know. We just got to your team, and I knew because it was CH, it was reliable. And I was like,
yeah, I wouldn't just drop that in for no reason, right? So that's
doing this a lot on a Friday afternoon. You know, the Premier League, they're dropping these announcements quite late on a
Someone
Friday.
just said that.
Like,
Someone just said seems to be Friday is the day. Yeah.
And not just that, Jani. It's also been the case that we didn't exactly see the Villa double coming. We didn't exactly expect Liverpool having back-to-back doubles. So these announcements have been unexpected. I mean, none of the fixture gurus I've read have predicted.
They had 33. They all had 33 for Newcastle's
exactly. Double. Exactly. I haven't seen Game Week 32 being mentioned as a window at all. Actually, have you?
I know.
It's completely out of the
years gone by. The
right?
Premier League have shadowed what a Ben Crellin, for example. They've the same sort of lines. Ben Crellin's not hit much at all. like I love Ben. He's a brilliant resource for FPL, but the Premier League are going against the obvious here.
put up the banner against the obvious FPL. Well, it's shaken things up. That's for sure. And obviously with the extra chips in play and stuff as well, like. Whether you've still got your assistant manager to play and your wild card and potentially your bench boost, free hit, whatever. Like there's still so much to come out in the wash here. But I mean, that game week to me feels like years away. I mean, there's so much going to change.
Journey.
We've got to navigate a lot before that.
There's so much to come out in the wash before then.
Well, we had
another thing.
Go on.
Yeah, another thing I very briefly want to touch upon is that while
we'll
we were
super chat in a minute, Emre, we will do it before the end of the show. We'll do a Q&A with your super chat, Emre. Stay tuned.
While we were, we used the system manager chip earlier last week because we thought that this is going to be the only opportunity to play it in back-to-back doubles. 32 and 33 will be back-to-back doubles as well. So a lot of people can use the system manager chip in Game Week 32.
Wow,
which could work, I guess. If you do that, you won't be able to use the bench boost in 33 though, which will be a bit of an issue. But maybe people can then bench boost in 36. Anyway, all I can say with certainty is that this has actually just opened up a lot of strategies.
You're right about the back-to-back. We all went last week because we're not going to get back-to-back doubles again this season.
I didn't.
Now we got back-to-back doubles already a week on.
Sorry, but I said none of you know. None of you know what will happen.
Dean, you're winning.
So
that's you, mate. 32, 33, assistant manager.
Yeah, that's what
I was going to say
this. Since the day it was announced, I said I will not be getting trigger happy on this assistant manager. I am waiting. I think I actually said there's a video somewhere. I said I'm waiting until April. I think I literally said that.
Mate, Game Week 32 is going to be like literally the 12th of April.
I assume a lot of people won't exactly find themselves in your position, because a lot of people would want to bench boost in the biggest double, but because you've gotten the bench boost out of the way, now you can safely just use that chip in 32. This is my
and honestly, like I obviously played my bench boost last week, and I actually took some stick in the comments. People basically saying I don't know what I'm doing, but my strategy was I had to counter the fact that everyone was going to bank on Slot or Moyes to haul, and it worked. Like I outscored last week, at least most people that played the assistant manager chip with my 10 points that came off of the bench. Now, obviously, this week I'll probably be up against it because I don't have a chip to play, and if the results go the way that they're expected and all the slot managers get their points, then I'll be on a red arrow for this week. But it probably won't be by that much, to be honest. So having that now in my back pocket and knowing that I myself have a double-double assistant manager, maybe Eddie Howe chip. Might be handy. It might be handy.
Oh, let's get back to big man's team, because we were going to discuss Isak to Watkins as an option. That might not be on the cards anymore. I mean, big man, tell us you're thinking 2 free transfers, slot, money in the bank, but you've got flags on Konza. Trent's fine. Konza ain't playing. And Dyer's not playing. João Pedro's probably not playing. Eze now has a potential double. And for you, you were looking to sell Eze. Sorry, Eze has a double. And we know Eze's fit for Everton. I mean, what are you thinking?
Well, it'll take me a while to gather my thoughts, but initial thoughts are that, Eze, I was thinking Isak to Watkins simply because of the double. And then I can keep him with the view of swapping him out for Haaland in game week 29. I do think I will want Haaland because he's likely to be the best captain in the blank. And Isak's fixtures, yes, Isak is really good, but the fixtures aren't amazing, so I would rather chance it with the doubler. That's just the way I generally play. The issue is that I really don't want to start João Pedro in my team.
Yeah,
and
we don't know if he's going to start.
And yeah, had Andia been fit, I would have started him. But now I'm forced into a tricky decision where I probably either have to start him or decide to sell India for someone like Wissa, which is again something I'm not exactly a huge fan of. So this is the tricky decision for me this week. I have still not ruled out selling Eze, by the way, because even though Eze is fit, Palace are blanking in 29, and
free hit.
Selling him, I'm not going to free hit. I don't think my squad requires it. Selling Eze to someone like a Dango or Trossard is just quite nice because the upcoming fixtures of Bournemouth, Arsenal are pretty good, and they don't blank in 29. So I'm still I still haven't ruled that out. And apart from that, I think I will probably keep Konsa. I just don't think any Villa defender appeals that much to me. I do think Ipswich will probably score, and I will just probably start one of Caldwell or Mikalenko in my team.
Okay, fair enough. So as things stand, and this will probably change, so don't use this as locked in for big man. He's reacting to the news, and he's got 4 hours to think about it. What are the transfers you think you will make?
I think I will likely sell Isak to Watkins, and I will make one other transfer, likely India to Wissa, I think, or maybe Eze to Trossard or Dango. I think it'll be one of those.
But you're pretty sure Watkins is coming in then?
I don't think I'll be able to resist him.
Yeah, you love it. I mean, you showed us last week. You love a doubler. You went triple Everton. Dean and I will be there to continually remind you of the fact you've sold the game's best forward next week and the week after.
You don't seem to have any fear about that big man at all. You're just casually getting rid of the best striker in the Premier League.
Maybe in world football right now.
Maybe in world football. Against the Man City,
he's probably in the bang and
defend.
Oh, and we've just been told he's got a double game
yeah.
week in April. I mean, I know he'll be in your team for that big man, but you're going to have to use a transfer on it or a wild card on it. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. But, of course, Watkins is Ipswich.
Johnny, just a question, and something which, I've been thinking of. Initially, and it still is, initially my plan was to wildcard in game week 31. I think the appeal of that increases now that this double has been announced, because in game week 31, not only can you sell yourself up for the bench boost in 33, but you can then also load up on Newcastle and Palace, which are teams you would have actually sold players from at this point in.
True.
Right?
True.
So I like the idea of 31 wildcard a lot.
But can't you load up on Palace? Do you not want Palace and Newcastle players even before that? Because let's say you wildcard 31, Crystal Palace play Brentford and Leicester in 30-31, like there's not, and West Ham before the blank. So again, does the free hit in 29 become an option? Because then you can have like Crystal Palace, they play Southampton in game week 30. So Palace and Newcastle have good fixtures, and they play Ipswich in 28. So you can start loading up on Ipswich and Palace now. Sorry, Ipswich, Palace and Newcastle now, and free hit in 29, and use the wild card in 34, 35. That's also an option. Now, I think we can.
But then how can I set myself up for the bench boost without the wildcard? That's the issue.
Free transfers. Right? If you're free hitting in 29, your free transfers don't go to 29 because you're free hitting. So you don't have to worry about that. You build all your free transfers to 33 and still bench boost. I reckon the 33 bench boost without a wildcard will still look very good as long as you free hit 29.
It will still require a lot of transfers, though.
You reckon? We
Two
were
required
5, 6.
transfers.
You could roll 5 transfers to 33 if you were free hitting in 29.
I would love to, but I think it's that's being a tad optimistic. But yeah, it is something I can possibly consider. But then again,
to do that.
Johnny, 34 is then going to be the wild card week. Is that what you're trying to say, right? It could be.
Or 35. I don't know yet. We don't know how big the blank's going to be between the doubles of 33 and 6. We'll know more before 30 because there's another FA Cup round. And what we want is, for that strategy to work, you need all the doubles, the vast majority of the doubles to go to 33. And then you need the blank in 34 to be small and the double in 36 to be small. If it is, a wild card around that actually could work. But yeah, time will tell. My plan is just to make a call on that in the next couple of weeks. I'm still all right not committing to free hit 29. Oh, guys, we're loving your strategies. Tony has put a strategy in that CH likes. A few in the chat said they like. Tony said triple captain 25, fine. Wildcard 30, or assistant manager 31 and 3, which we know now will be doubles in 32 and 3. Free hit 34, which is the blank, and then bench boost at the end of the season 36. The only problem with that is you've then got your bench boost and wildcard quite far apart. And a lot of people like to wildcard and bench boost straight away because then you know you've got 15 players fit, playing in form, not flagged. But yeah, don't mind it. You've got all those chips. All right, we've not got long left. We've still got to do questions. We've still got to do our Against the Obvious, and we've got to see my team. We have over 641 of you watching, which is awesome. 233 of you are not subbed. That's completely cool. Hopefully we convince you to hit that subscribe button in the next 11 minutes. If you like what you see and hear, please do consider subscribing to Chasing Green Arrows. Let's see my team. Yeah. I got one free transfer. I've made one already. I did Emery. So
without making a transfer, what's yours like selection dilemma in terms of like Pedro and Bruno?
Mate, it's just João Pedro and Bruno are just duds.
Yeah.
I see them as dead weight now. Like Bruno's playing deep and United don't score goals and he's expensive. João Pedro might not start and has been rubbish. Like I am selling Bruno and João Pedro today, 100%. I am bringing in Ollie Watkins. And I'm bringing in Dango. And that leaves me with 0.4 in the bank. I'm pretty sure I'm doing those moves. I'll confirm it on my deadline stream at 5:30 tonight, but I can't see me going against that, even with today's news. So it'll be Watkins and Dango. The bench stays the same. Obviously, Salah captain. Pretty happy with that. I mean...
Yeah, with that, I think those changes... Yeah.
I don't want to sell Gakpo. I think Gakpo's been so good of late. And I quite like the Man City fixture for Liverpool goals.
Yeah, I think that's sound. I think those are the two right transfers. They're probably the two that I would make as well if I was you. And I don't think you've got anything to particularly worry about on your bench in terms of like what you're going to miss out on. Like Rico Lewis, don't trust him at all anymore.
No,
Hall is
injured. I might get some starts for once.
You might get some starts, but
you won't get any clean sheets.
You're not going to get any clean sheets at this rate because of the way he's defending. Lewis Hall is going to catch you out from time to time. There's nothing you can really do about that, unfortunately. Like,
I started Hall last week. He got 1 point against Fulham. He was on a clean sheet for an hour, and Munoz got 11 on my bench. Like, the defensive rotation between Mikalenko, Munoz, and Hall is tricky. I don't have an Arsenal defender, so I'm going to lose out to the field when Arsenal keep a clean sheet to Leicester. Yeah. But other than that, I'm pretty happy. So yeah, those moves are happening. It's Dango. And it's Watkins. Big man, any comments on my team? Emery's in, obviously. I could sell Slot.
I think your team would look really, really nice. Apart from the fact that you'll take a hit, that's the only thing that would bother me. But apart from that, your team would look like really, really nice.
Thanks, mate. We say that a lot, and my rank's still really bad. So, yeah.
I'm extremely jealous of the Munoz pick, though. Everton's, their squad is decimated with injuries, and no Decore with the red card either.
Oh, yeah.
I can see a comfortable Palace win.
You reckon Lewis Hall or Mikalenko for the starting 11? I've got Pickford already.
Just go with Mikalenko.
Dean?
Yeah,
I can't see.
Yeah, Mikalenko. Yeah.
Mikalenko as well. I have a similar dilemma actually with Colwell, and it's very close. I think even though I
Colwill
expect
versus
both teams to
Mikalenko.
concede. Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting
Yeah.
both teams to concede. It's just that if, by any fluke, Everton do keep a clean sheet, I mean, that would work really, really nice for you.
Yeah, it would. It would. Having a lot have got Mikalenko bench because they've got a back three of like Trent, Gabriel, and someone else fairly good. So a lot are benching Mikalenko this week. But I think you've probably got that right. I thought Everton were impressive defensively against Liverpool. I know Liverpool scored 2, but they only conceded like 0.6, 0.7 XG Everton. Not bad against the best attack in the league.
Should we do these super chats, G, before we get onto our
good man.
against the obvious? Yeah, let's do that because a couple of people did throw a couple in, Emre and Gunnar.
We'll come away from my team. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Emre says 0.1 in the bank. Shao Pedro and Ndai are major issues. Either going to get Nwaneri and Watkins for a -4, or no hits and do Ndai to Jimenez. What to do, guys?
Watkins on a 0.4 is good. But can you afford Dango for 0.6 more than Nwaneri? I know Nwaneri's going to start fine, but I don't think minutes moving forward are going to be brilliant for him. I'd try and get a Bournemouth mid if you can. I don't know if you've got the money.
I mean, yeah, Nwaneri has started to get starts. So, there is that. And this is a big opportunity for him, obviously. So, I mean, I certainly wouldn't do the Ndai to Jimenez one. I just think that's a pointless move. I don't think there's enough upside to that. I'll probably be wrong now. Fulham win 2-0 and Jimenez scores both. But as I sit here now, I couldn't justify that as the advice. So, maybe the first one. I don't love taking a -4 for a Watkins that we don't know is even playing. But, I think that's probably your best out of those two options. Gunnar Ryan. But big man, do you want to take this one? Bench one of Wood, Dango, Palmer, and Visser. Easy job.
I think I'd probably go Wood. Or Wissa, maybe even. I think I'd probably go Wissa. I'd probably go Wissa, I think.
Yeah.
Wood at least has wins, right? Yeah, I'd go Wissa. Yeah, I thought the fixture was at home, but Brentford are playing away, so probably go Wissa.
Yeah, by the way, people keep going on about Fulham beating Nottingham Forest, and like every Fulham fan I've spoken to is like, this will be a nightmare. Our home form is terrible. Forest are exactly the title team that we cannot break down. Like the way that they play is just painful for us because it won't work. So a lot of Fulham fans, and a couple that aren't even going to the game because they can't be bothered.
It's like you're playing like peak Man City. I'm not going to the game.
That's how they feel about Nottingham Forest right
now. Bench one of Mboma Dango. Okay, we've done that one, have we?
No, this is a different question.
It's different. I would go Wood here.
Of these three, I'd actually go
honestly, Mboma. I'm completely stumped. I was talking to Olivia Bazaglo, friend of the show, this morning, and she is either benching Mboma or Dango. And she was like, and she's got Wood and Isak too. And we were like, is it Mboma?
I think I might have to bench Mboma this week, and I hate the prospect of doing it, but I think I might have to.
Big man?
I hate the idea of benching Mboma. I mean, and Dango, I mean, why do you even have Dango in the first place if you're not going to play him against Southampton?
I'm looking at all these bench
completely baffles me.
Hallelujah for Enzo in my team. Perfect bench player.
Well, I have Ndai. I have João Pedro. I mean, I'm struggling to field 11 this week, let alone have a benching dilemma, and people are quite different.
Ice G said, can we get a short discussion on Arsenal attacking options? Yeah, there aren't any.
Yeah, Trossard's a legit option now, Dean.
I actually like Trossard.
Trossard's the only one, honestly, isn't he? Like that. I don't think the others are even worth. I don't see there's any worthwhile.
Is Martinelli fit?
No.
I think they're going to... You can go, Trossard's a midfielder playing number 9 for Arsenal. That's no good if Arsenal aren't scoring goals. I know it's Leicester, but honestly, I'd much prefer buy a Bournemouth mid than a Trossard.
Yeah, I think
I might have to make a similar decision. I think I would probably have to choose between Dango and Trossard.
Hey, I think I would have to choose. All better than Trossard. Maybe not for this week. Trossard could pull something out, but if you take the next 4 or 5 games, like Bournemouth fixtures versus Arsenal fixtures, and Bournemouth's goal, I think Bournemouth will score way more than Arsenal in the next 6-7 weeks before Saka's back. Maybe 4 or 5 weeks, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and Dango is like much cheaper as well.
Yeah. The super chats are done, guys. Thank you so much. We will take some more questions from the chat. But first, we're going to do a very, very quick fire against the obvious. Can't wait for this.
Here we go. Right, let's get my clock ticking against the obvious. You can start the clock. I'm going completely against Aston Villa's forwards. Ollie Watkins, Rashford, Asensio, none of them for me. Watkins, even now he's got a possibility, and I've just been considering it over the past half an hour. I'm not picking him. I'm not going with Ollie Watkins. The injury doubt puts me off too much for a player who wasn't convincing me that much with his form anyway. I personally am happier with my picks of Gakpo, Isak, and Wood. I don't feel that I have that much to lose here. Rashford and Asensio, they don't appeal to me either for the attack. Of the two, I'd probably take Asensio, but I can't be convinced to do that. I'd actually go for Jacob Ramsey over all of those, the way that he's been playing recently. Daniel Marlon is better than those. I'm going to get Morgan Rogers into my team. I've decided in the last 15 minutes, and I've actually pressed the button. Morgan Rogers will be coming in for me. But the way I'm looking at it right now, I don't think, as silly as it sounds for a double week, you need Watkins, Rashford, or Asensio.
Oh, very nice in 60 seconds. But it does mean, for you, it will be Rogers. Joe says, bench that typeface. I quite like the typeface. But let us know in the chat what you think to our shiny new graphics that are back. All right. Love that, Dean. Let's move on. We've got me and Big Man to do our against the obvious as well. We want your thoughts in the chat as well. Players that are popular that you lot hate this game week. Gabriel. Wait, that's the wrong picture, is it?
That's definitely not Gabriel.
Injured.
That's the wrong Gabriel. Definitely don't put Gabriel Jesus.
I can't do it with him on screen. We might skip mine this week. I can't tell you not to pick Gabriel centre back on that image. Sorry, guys. We'll skip. I'm gonna say nothing. Your turn, Big Man.
Yeah, so mine is Gordon. Now he's been very popular. I think his ownership currently is 19%, as mentioned. I think we're sort of reaching the stage where we have, irrespective of the blank, irrespective of your free hit strategy, I think he's becoming a bit of a sell at this point in time. When you look at the Bournemouth mids who are delivering for far cheaper, or the Arsenal mids with their fixtures coming up, or the Villa mids with the double, I just think that Gordon is, let's say, surplus to requirements. I know the fixtures are still all right, but I think I would rather just move away from him at this point. And despite the total number of points and the form that you see on the graphic on screen, I would be willing to bet that some of the alternatives that I mentioned outscore him in the coming rounds.
Like that. Well, look, Gordon he's been doing well. You could argue Gordon owners have been unlucky of late. But yeah, the points haven't been massive, and he's been way behind Isak. But I still like the Gordon pick. But yeah, time will tell. Let's see how he gets on this game week. And with Man City up next, who knows? There we go. Dean was loving new times. I'm just reading all the comments on the graphic design. I think it's hilarious. Thank guys for all your comments. We want to know your take on the Stings. So we're going to do another poll. Have you enjoyed the Stings / graphics in general in today's show? We've shown you more visual assets than we usually do. Have you liked it? Yes or no? Just let us know, because genuinely your responses will help shape our shows moving forward. Dean, super chat for you. Gabriel, Munoz, Hoyson and Trent. You got to drop one.
Oh, I want to drop Trent, but I can't. Munoz.
I'd say Hoyson, Big Man.
I'd say Hoyson as well. Munoz has that upside.
I just don't think you could have Southampton out there all week and they won't score a goal. That's
we're going to clip that when they score 3. There we go. Guys, we want to celebrate Valentine's Day on Chasing Green Arrows our chasers. You lot are proper special to us. So what we're going to do, we don't usually do this on Chasing Green Arrows, but we're going to gift 5 channel memberships to celebrate Valentine's Day. But there's a little catch. And before we do it, we're going to answer a couple of questions. But when we're answering the questions, just think about, to win, you've got to put loads of comments in the chat, because it will go randomly to 5 people. We'll give you a 30-second warning, but you also have to subscribe to the channel. Only someone that has liked and subscribed can win a membership. But the memberships come with loads of bonuses, extra content, priority questions, all that jazz. Waleed has asked a question for you, big man, about Konza. Colwell or Mikalenko to start? You've got these two.
I've got these two, and if you look at the odds are telling me to play Mikalenko slightly, but it is a coin flip, to be very honest. I don't think there is a right answer. If you get it right, then you've just been lucky. There's just no two ways about it. I would love to hear you guys' opinion as well, because I'm not exactly sure I can figure this out personally. So I'm not sure I should answer
I
this
think you got
question.
it right, Mikalenko.
Yeah.
Also, attacking returns, I'd say Mikalenko slightly higher, maybe. Spot sign for Bruno. Heather, don't hate it.
It's a different one. I mean, I'm definitely not going to knock it too much, because I think that the positions that Szoboszlai gets in might actually be a really clever pick.
Jamie says Semenyo or it's Rodgers, effectively. I quite like the double, but you've got to have the luxury of free transfers moving forward to get rid of Rodgers.
Yeah.
Ferguson, we need to see him start. We need to see him fit. If he starts,
he's not starting this
well,
weekend. He's not
could
starting
go
this
there.
weekend.
Do you not think? No.
No, I mean, no, I don't think Ferguson is starting this weekend.
Too risky then, yeah. And up. We might go to the. Yeah, that sounds fine. Cunha, yeah, all good. Let's do the super chat from Mur. Ooh. You're keeping
I'd
Gakpo.
still start Gakpo.
You still start him. He could come off the bench in game one, couldn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
he's still got two chances, hasn't he? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
and even in the second game, which is a harder game, he probably starts that one, and he's going to be a big goal threat. So, I think I'd still go Gakpo, yeah, because of the minutes advantage.
Sean has said loads today, and shout out Sean. Dean, go Jota for the double. Jota's listed as a midfielder, so you're not selling Gakpo to Jota. Is he listed as a midfielder? I think he is. But yeah, Jota, I'm with you. I think Jota does probably start against Wolves, but who knows with his injury record? I don't mind the Jota punt. We've probably run out of time for questions, but yeah, hard call, Lost Musician. You're going to have to make the call on that. Need more than 10 seconds to answer that one. That's a tough one. But we want to give away 5 channel memberships, and we want 5 of you to win. To win, spam the chat right now. Within the next 30 seconds, we're clicking that button. But you can only win a channel membership. It's blackmail, and I'm very happy to admit that. You've got to hit the subscribe button, guys. If you're not subscribed, you simply cannot win.
Well, they're doing it. They're doing exactly as you asked. The chat suddenly streaming by, going, hell, the happy Valentine's messages and things like that. I'd forgotten it was Valentine's Day, to be honest, which isn't a great start to my day. Absolutely haven't got a card. I think the kids might have made me one, though. I think I can actually hear them making it right now. So that might be fun. Loads coming in, so give it a couple more seconds, and then
this is great for the YouTube algorithm. Keep commenting, guys. More people are going
to do for an hour and a half. Yeah,
Genius.
You can pick your winners.
5 of you randomly will get it. Guys, by the way, let me just take this excuse to say this is a deadline stream on Chasing Green Arrows. If you want more deadline streams, drop a comment and let us know. If you are just joining in, go back and watch the last hour, because we're about to wrap up. We don't want you to miss. We've had some good quality content today. Before the deadline streamers come on at 4 o'clock, you've still got 55 minutes to watch. Those memberships have been gifted. Hopefully, loads of you got them. Luke got one of our chasers. Love that.
Stephen
and Cameron
got
as
one.
well. Cameron with Daisy.
Cam got one. That's good.
Yeah.
Ollie and Demon. Nice. Congrats, everyone.
Love that. Guys, we'll be back on Monday. When you subscribe with the notification bell, you'll see when we're live. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week, I'm live on my channel at 5:30 if you do want some more deadline content. I can't offer to give the same quality content we've given on CGA, but if you fancy coming over at 5:30 for an hour right up to that deadline, you can come check me out on my channel. Just search my name. And yeah, go back and watch the last hour. Big man, good luck with all your decisions. We look forward to seeing your team.
Good luck, bro. Take care. Thank you.
Dean, good luck.
Cheers,
you've said on Against the Obvious, you're going to go Rodgers, not Watkins, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And Against the Obvious is forgetting Valentine's Day, so I've now got to go and deal with that.
Love that. Guys, thank you to all of you lot in the chat. It's been an awesome Friday. We've loved having you here. See you later.